Well, well, well. Greetings, 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 greetings. How's everybody doing today? It is I, Echo Craft. Welcome, Echo Casters. It's funny. I've been obligated with the task to see if the Hydrasynth can growl. I think it can, personally. I have a patch pulled up on there right now that actually sounds pretty cool. I'm going to just switch cameras right now and we'll check it out. Mr. Hans Volt is in the chat and with the Synth Samurai. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's hear it. Yeah, baby. Let's hear it growl. That's what they're saying. Okay, well, let's check it out. I think it growls. I think it sounds amazing. I like the Hydrasynth. But yeah, all right. So let me switch cameras and off we go. I don't know. I think it sounds pretty cool. What's up, guys? Yeah. What do we got going on here? The Machines won. How you doing? Banana Rider 69, what's going on? Smarty 1970, what's going on? Apollo, what's going on? So yeah, I don't know. I think it sounds amazing. I think if you play with it, Hans Volt, thank you. What's up, Air? How's it going? Riffs that rule. Yes. Yeah, man. But I'm waiting for the growl part. I don't know, dude. I think it sounds pretty cool. I think it's got some bite to it, you know. I think it definitely has its place in the synthesizer world. I like the Hydrasynth. I think it's cool. Does it growl? I thought I got some pretty growling parts out of that. You know, my thing with me, Did you try the VCM template? No, I didn't. So here's the thing. So I obviously I got my eye on the Juno X. That's the next thing. I'm selling a bunch of stuff because I want that synth. And one thing I have to say is that the Hydra has its place. It's digital, but it still sounds good. I was getting some pretty cool analog sounds out of that. Obviously, the Juno X is going to be the king of the analog sounds as far as an all-out poly goes. The DeepMind 12 does some cool stuff. It's got some pretty nasty sounds to it as well. I just think that I don't know, man. I just think that the VCM template will make a growl. Yeah, it probably will. I just think that, the discussion the other night was that the Hydrasynth couldn't growl or couldn't sound beefy. I think it sounds pretty beefy. I'm trying to find a patch that I had on there. It was a nice string patch that when I dropped the octave down on it, it sounded very full and beefy. Mind 12 is deep. Yes, it is. The DeepMind 12 is deep. It can get very deep. What does it say? Samurai. Was it? I'm something Synth Hefner. He's out of the building right now, man. We're gonna be talking to Synth Hefner soon. He's on a little day trip with his synth whores. Did I say that? I'm sorry. With his synth ladies. But yeah, so the Juno X doesn't growl, but I hear it can do mean. Yeah, I don't know. I think from the demo that I heard that Samurai played the other night, that's the one I sent him. I truly believe that the Juno X can growl. That's just my opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion, I guess. I don't know. Has their own ears. How's that sound? The Machines one, your eyes are on the Juno X. Who cares if the DM is basically the same thing, but actually analog? Well, it isn't the same thing. The DeepMind is supposedly modeled after the Juno, but it really isn't. It's its own thing, and I think Behringer should actually come out with more synthesizers like that and call it their own names and stop cloning. That's just me. And I love Behringer gear. You guys know that, but I just, I'm a Behringer bro, but I just think they should come out with their own stuff. EchoCraft has a Rev 2. Yes, I do. That's underneath me right here. And the Rev 2 is great, man. Samurai, the Rev 2 can only whine, not growl. He knows how to get under my skin. He does, and if I wasn't 62 years old and I was still practicing martial arts, I would probably meet him in the dojo for those statements. But yeah, I just, I like the Rev 2. The Rev 2 has its place. Every synthesizer has their place. They do. And it depends on where you place them in the music. For instance, if you're orchestrating with an orchestra, every instrument has its place. And I think the way I look at all my instruments, I look at it as a synthesizer orchestra. They all have their own place. They all have a place that Synth Samurai loves goth girls in secret. Well, I don't know about that. I'm married to a goth girl, so we won't go there. All right. She says she's not, but she dresses all in black like me. So we're old school goth. We invented goth. How's that sound? But anyway, so I think all the synths that are in my studio are like instruments in an orchestra, and they all have their place, and they all sound amazing. And Hans Volt said, yes, that's why we need so many. And I agree. I you know, there are some times where I'll just do TB303 stuff with a drum machine. Why? I don't know. That's just where I'm at. It's where I feel. If I had 2 or 3 synthesizers and, you know, I wanted to do a TB303 kind of sound, or, you know, an acid kind of sounding song, I don't think I'd be able to do that with a couple of polys and a drum machine. You know what I mean? You have to have the tools. You know, if you're baking a cake and all you have is cupcake molds, you can't bake a cake. I mean, you could try, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, the problem of allocating voices, you're a werewolf? Okay, bro. I knew I smelled dog somewhere. Oh! But anyway, so I just think that, you know, it does have its place and it sounds good. I enjoy it. I do like the poly aftertouch on it. I think that's kind of cool. As you can see below it, I have the Osmos, and those two paired together are kind of nice. I could do pads, nice pads on the Hydra, and I can do my lead lines on the Osmos, and get some of that nasty little, you know, pitch bending and things like that without having to use the pitch bend, the pitch wheel. You know, Synth Wolves. So we're going to start something called Synth Wolf Samurai. Okay. All right. So tonight there will be a Synth Fighter show, I believe. It is Wednesday, and it will be Synth Samurai and I guess the Synth Wolf and the Synth Vampire will be heading up on that show, and we'll be having some fun. We'll talk about some cool stuff. Synth Samurai is just a puppy, baby Synth Wolf. Wow. Man, I'll tell you, you're getting hit from all sides, bruh. You know, you start ragging on the Rev 2, man. You know, you're gonna get it coming. You know what I'm saying? Don't kick that hornet's nest. I know you already have. So, but anyway, so yeah, so you know, tonight should be a good show. We're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna put some stuff in the category list and see if we can talk about that. I know Samurai's got a bunch of stuff he wants to talk about, but I just thought I'd do a quick video today and just kind of get the Hydrasynth, give it the Hydrasynth the kudos that it deserves, because it is a great synthesizer. So I mean, you know, the other thing is, and I've said this before, I wasn't a great fan of the Hydra. I liked it, but it wasn't something on my gas list, to be honest with you. But the more I looked into it and the more Samurai told me about it, the more I started saying, let me check this thing out. And the Mini Freak, I've always liked. I've always liked the Mini Freak. Just never thought of buying one. So, you know, the Mini Freak is definitely very cool. Wild Phil presents. Yes, I agree. But anyway, guys, you know, I just thought I'd do a quick little video because tonight I want to save all my enthusiasm and energy for the Synth Fighter show on Samurai's channel. And I hope, you know, that was cool. I hope those patches that I did were pretty cool. I don't know. Should I play a couple more before we head out? Is anybody into that? If not, we could just say au revoir, as they say. All right. So, you know, without further ado, I always say, stay frosty, stay creative. Peace. We'll see you guys tonight. Wait a minute. You guys are all saying more. I just saw that in the chat. All right, hang on. Let's do this again. right, there's a bit of a growl for you. Was that growly enough? No? No growl? Okay. Well, you know, if you want some growl, you know, you can always throw some distortion pedals on there. I do have a couple of those. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that I would play out a little bit more, but we're good. I'm going to get going. I'm going to hang out a little bit longer with my synths today, and then I'll see you guys tonight on the Synth Fighter Show with Synth Samurai. Again, like I always say, does it say 86 distortion but sounded good? Okay, well, you know, I got to try the VCM template. I will. I'll definitely do that. And I definitely will. Yeah. So anyway, like I always say, guys, stay frosty, stay creative. Peace, peace, peace. All righty. Woo!